Fiji government, and for the minister that I stand in his place for today. A very warm Bulavinaka and a good morning to you all. It's a great pleasure to be here to give the opening remarks for this two-day workshop on Fiji's anti-human trafficking National Action Plan implementation workshop. At the outset, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Asia Foundation, who are supported by US aid, for collaborating with the Fiji government and co-hosting this very important workshop on an issue that US and global reports have identified Fiji to be a source, transit, destination country for trafficking in persons. In acknowledging the validity of those reports, I also note that Fiji has maintained for the second year its Tier 2 position in the annual US Department of State 2022 Trafficking in Persons report released in July of last year. The report noted that Fiji sustained its efforts to prevent trafficking in the pillars of prosecution, protection, and prevention. Ladies and gentlemen, we have only been able to do so because of the collaboration between Fiji's Countering Trafficking in Persons Intra-Agency Committee on Human Trafficking in implementing our National Human Trafficking Strategy of 2021 to 2026 and the National Action Plan to Combat Human Trafficking 2021 to 2026. I also would like to especially thank the dedicated civil society organizations represented here in this room, and likewise those who are not present, for the great work that you have all continued to do, especially in supporting victims of human trafficking. It is not an easy task, providing the necessities and services that you offer in a resource-constrained environment for crime so fluid in its movement. Overall, it seems that Fiji has made significant efforts to improve its anti-trafficking activities, but there is still room for improvement, which will ultimately determine the effectiveness of the laws and policies and programs to prevent human trafficking in this country. As the regional hub and custodians of Fiji's extensive border and maritime space, we recognize that our borders are vulnerable to trafficking in persons, for which Fiji is a transit and destination country for men, women, and children. The same can be said for all other countries in the region, and I acknowledge the delegation comprising civil society and governments from the Republic of Marshall Islands, from Papua New Guinea, and from Tonga that I've mentioned before, who are also attending this workshop as observers. We look forward to and value your contribution to these discussions, and I'm hopeful that you will also gain some insights into how your Fiji counterparts work. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ratified international agreements such as the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crimes and Protocol of Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons, especially for women and children. We have enacted legislations to address human trafficking, and this includes the Crimes Decree or the Crimes Act of 2009 that criminalizes various forms of human trafficking and provides very stiff penalties for offenders. Our Immigration Act of 2003 outlined entry requirements, including measures to prevent human trafficking and smuggling. The Employment Relations Act of 2007 that protects workers from exploitation, including forced labor and debt bondage. And the Child Welfare Act of 2010 that protects children from various forms of abuse, including child labor and trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen, our two major anti-trafficking policies are the National Human Trafficking Strategy of 2021 to 2026 and the National Action Plan to combat human trafficking of 2021 to 2026. The plan sets out Fiji's strategy to prevent and combat human trafficking, including measures to raise public awareness, strengthening international cooperation, and to provide support for our survivors. As we are in midway of our implementation period, it is timely that government reviews the effectiveness of the National Action Plan, which we have collectively set out. I am pleased that the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration, with the support of USAID and the Asia Foundation, is convening this workshop to review the National Action Plan to combat human trafficking 2021-2026 document. The timing of this workshop is also pleasing, as the government is preparing for the 2023 and 2024 budget year, which will focus on delivering coalition government's policy priorities, including private sector-led economic rejuvenation, diversification of the Fijian economy, raising national productivity, enhancing inclusive social economic development, and improving our service delivery. I am confident that the deliberations on the next 2 days in this National Action Plan workshop will result in identifying and prioritizing activities within the National Action Plan that we can collectively work towards in the next 3 years. I very much look forward to receiving the comprehensive report and recommendations from this workshop. In closing, I wish to reiterate my appreciation to the government of the United States of America for its funding support through USAID and the Asia Foundation in support of, I'm not going to say the long term, so I'll just say RISE CTIP program. And I wish you all a very fruitful discussion and safe journey home at the completion of your workshop. With those few words, I now declare the workshop open. Thank you.